Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Roaring Twenties with Roberts. We're talking about Charles Lindbergh today. Now, Charles Lindbergh was born in 1902, so just before that very first flight by the Wright brothers, but then he became this famous pilot, and we're going to talk a little bit about how he gained fame and some of the craziness that happened to him in the 1930s. At 21, Lindbergh did his first solo flight. First time flying all on his own. And he loved it so much that he decided to become this barnstorming daredevil pilot doing tricks in front of crowds all over farms, performing at fairs and other events. And he was loved. Like, everyone loved him. He enlisted in the Army and trained as a reserve pilot, and also worked for the post office as an airmail pilot flying between St. Louis and Chicago. But in the mid-20s, there was this big push to do super impressive stuff. Lots of people had money, and this hotel owner named Ortigue, he was offering a $25,000 prize for the first pilot to fly from New York to Paris without making any stops. Now remember, this is early flight travel. You didn't have commercial flights. You didn't have people who could buy plane tickets to make these flights. The planes were slow. They were all props. They weren't jets. They weren't going super, super, super fast. It was a challenge for sure. Well, Lindbergh took him up on this. He was hell-bent to do it, and he flew this monoplane known as the Spirit of St. Louis. And on May 20th, 1927, he took off and headed from Long Island, New York, all the way to Paris. It took him 33.5 hours flying. No breaks, no stops, no autopilot, just him sitting there working his way across the Atlantic. Well, when he landed, 100,000 people were there cheering. And President Coolidge, who was right at the end of his term, decided to give him an award and celebrate him, and he was in parades. Lindbergh didn't exactly come from meager beginnings. His dad was a congressman and a lawyer, so they had some money. He had a little bit of privilege. And right at the end of the 1920s, we had the stock market crash. The world kind of went to crap. No one had any money. So Lindbergh gets married, and in 1930, the two of them have a kid. At 20 months old in 1932, the kid vanishes, and they receive a ransom note for $50,000. That's twice as much as Lindbergh made flying across the Atlantic. No one knows whether or not the kidnapping was real. Some people think it's a cover-up by Lindbergh, that something happened to the baby, or maybe Lindbergh's wife. Other people think someone actually kidnapped him and made the demand. But either way, the child's body turns up dead. The police trace the ransom money to Bruno Hauptmann, a carpenter with a criminal record, and arrest him for the crime. And there's this huge trial. Hauptmann was convicted and later executed in 1936, but the Lindberghs, well, it's never the same. The two of them freak out about the media attention. They move to England and then France. Lindbergh ends up essentially hiding from the public eye, writing a couple of books, earning some money that way, but he never really comes back into the spotlight into the same way. Well, this is the story of Charles Lindbergh. Sort of a crazy story, some awesome success, some celebrity, some tragedy, and a wrap up there. So this has been the Roaring Twenties with Roberts. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. Keep up on your history.